G'day punters, welcome to episode 2 of Tales from the Toxic White Boomer. This one stretches over a few years. Starts when I was about 7. When I was 7, that would be 1959, and goes through till when I was 15. Grade 9, you'd call it these days. It was Form 3 back then. And it's all to do with music. My mother, God rest her soul, in her wisdom, decided that I should learn the piano, which these days is no big deal, but back then it was quite a big deal. I can remember years of being bullied and harassed and all sorts of shit, going to my music lessons, some little prick waiting somewhere and fucking whatever. It was a bit, anyway, stuck with it. It was at Mount Erin Convent in Wagga, which is big boarding school set up by the Presentation Sisters, full of Catholic girls boarding there. I'm not sure what the situation is now, but that's what it was back then. It was only in the next street, so I could pretty much walk to the piano lesson, which was once a week. And a bit later on, as I got a bit further up, bit of theory as well, so I found myself over there twice a week, being taught by the nuns, who back in those days used to wear the black and white, or the penguin suits, as my late dad used to call them. And so it was, at the time, I probably didn't appreciate it as enough as I should have. But, and my mother did, so I wonder you'll thank me for this, maybe. And, so grade preliminary, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Used to learn a whole heap of piano pieces, so you'd learn pieces by classical piano composers and scales and other exercise type things, and some sight reading and a bit of theory as well. So, and of course each year it got slightly harder, and then I think I did a couple of written theory exams separate as well. But the actual piano exams were practical, as it would suggest. They would send an examiner down. It was the Australian Music Education Board, AMEB, so they'd send someone down from Sydney, always a lady, usually, older lady, who'd examine each one of us. And, and that's how it went. And I did all right. I think I got distinctions most year, which is 85 or better. I got an 84 one year. And I used to play by ear. So that meant that sister would play the tunes, and this is what they're supposed to sound like, and I'd have to learn them absolutely right down pat. Everything, like all the different things within the piece, modulations and piano fortes and all that stuff, tempo. And then I just play it by ear, even though I had the music sitting in front of me. So when it came to exam time, we'd all be sitting there in an ante-room waiting to go in, and I was W, so I was always last, and a whole lot of little Catholic girls would go in one after the other and do their thing, and then I'd go in. And the examiner was probably by about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, she's thinking, God, who's next? And I'd wander in, oh my God, a boy. So that used to kind of cheer her up a little bit, I got to admit. And she'd pretty much asked me what I wanted to play. I mean, I had to play what was on the syllabus, obviously, but, I could pick, so I'd pick, D major for a scale and G major for a conjugation, and some of the exercises that always go for the easy stuff, and then which pieces would you like to play? So I was pretty fond of Beethoven, so I always made sure there was a Beethoven in there somewhere, and all that went pretty well. And then the sight reading came along, and of course that's when I started to struggle, because I'd have the sight reading there in front of me, and I'd be looking at it and trying to figure it all out, because I didn't have an opportunity to think, spend 2 days learning it and then come back and play it again, so all had to be done on pat. So that used to always drag me down a little bit. And one year it must have been worse than others because I got 84. And we'd have a little post-mortem. The nuns used to get really excited. Sister Andrews was one of the nuns. She was good. Sister Philippa, Sister DeShonel, Sister Joseph, I think. But anyway, so we used to do a post-mortem, and she said, oh, you only got 84. I said, yeah, the sight reading was really hard. And you look at that had it broken down into the different bits, and it was always the same. Did all right in the pieces, did okay with the scales and stuff, but always the sight reading. But anyway, so that was good. So did that every year, did some theory, Used to do, we did theory. I think we used to go in on the weekends and stuff as well. One of the interesting side things that used to happen there at the convent was, and it happened a lot, I'd be wandering through there heading to somewhere. I might be going to my class, music room, somewhere like that, and you'd walk through, they'd have these little inner courtyards. It's a magnificent place, man. It's huge, magnificent buildings and that. And you'd be walking through a quadrangle and a nun would kind of step out of a doorway carrying a whole heap of books. And quick as a flash, a couple of the girls would come out of another door, race over, grab the books off the sister and carry them across to wherever the sister was going, Did it all the time. Like it was like they were on patrol or something, just waiting for these things to happen. So nice, just a nice little touch. So anyway, getting back to this piano stuff. So I'm in Form 3, which would be grade 9 this year, and I've done my grade 6. And Sister Andrew said, you could do this as part of your school certificate. You could add this as an extra subject. It's AMEB. You got result. You could go ahead and do it. So I said, okay. So back to school. High school was just across the street. So I went up somewhere, spoke to someone, principal, I don't know who it was, and some deputy, anyway. And I said, my sister Andrews has suggested that I could do an extra subject, blah, blah, blah. And they looked into it and they came back and said, well, the department's got back and they've said, yes, it's okay. You can do it as an extra subject, but you're going to have to repeat it. And I went, I beg your pardon. And they said, well, you've done grade 6 in Form 3, which is like grade 9, but the school certificate's in grade 4, which is grade 10, I beg your pardon, which is Form 4. So you're going to have to do it again. I said, why? Because it's in the syllabus and you have to do the syllabus and everything. And I said, why can't I just do Year 7, Why can't I do grade 7 piano? Oh, no, you can't do grade 7 for the school certificate. And I said, why not? Now, that's about as bad as it got, but my inner voice is going, what a pack of fucking jerks. Looking back at it, I'm thinking, you fucking mongrels. I mean, how petty can you get? What difference would it have made? I got through it. Anyway, that was it. I said to Sister, well, I'm not going to go back and do the whole bloody lot again. I said, bugger it, why should I indulge these pricks? And of course, that was my first introduction into the bureaucracies that are basically fucking up education in Australia. And I became a teacher and I ran into it quite a few times. And yep, bureaucracy had nothing to do with skills or learning shit. It was all to do with the fact that these pricks were all on a fucking power trip and they weren't prepared to make a little concession. Like, what the hell, I mean, if I'd have got grade 7, they could have just said, well, we're only going to give you grade 6 on the school certificate. I would have, that's fine. And I would have kept going. But I didn't. There you go.